You are logged on and listening to the Computer Corner Show, brought to you by Computer Corner, your local resource for computer hardware, software, services, and training. Since 1983, Computer Corner is high-tech with a human touch. This is Phil Shortell, your host and the lead instructor at Computer Corner, and with me here today are both the owners of Computer Corner, Carol and Joe Petronovich, and good day to both of you.
Good day, everyone.
Good day.
Hey, if your passcode is pitiful, you're freaking about freaking, or your pop is a flop, Computer Corner is the place to go to get those things fixed, or maybe to be educated about what those things mean if you don't already know what they mean.
We do appreciate you listening to the Computer Corner Show today. We're happy to be offering you computer tips, information, tricks, trivia, and much more. And of course, if you're a client of ours, we thank you very much for that too.
Now that we're posting podcasts on our website and YouTube, there may be people listening who don't know who we are. So we'll do just a bit of housekeeping before we bring you our topic of the day.
So Phil is the lead instructor at Computer Corner here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where we offer classroom training, computer instruction, one-on-one tutoring, and we sell computer hardware. In fact, all the major brands like HP, Dell, Samsung, many more, as well as our own trademark Equus desktop computer.
And we talked a little bit about that and some of the advantages of getting an Equus in our previous podcast, which you can also find back up there on YouTube or on our website. But anyway, Carol and Joe are co-owners of Computer Corner. Joe is an MCSE, or Microsoft Certified Systems Engineer, with technical expertise going back to before DOS or Windows and into advanced systems like mining rigs. Carol and Joe founded Computer Corner in 1983. Carol is the lead salesperson for the state of New Mexico agencies and Los Alamos laboratories, and has a tremendous amount of product knowledge encompassing products well beyond what you'll see in our beautiful showroom.
And our beautiful showroom is located at 3101 Manal Northeast, about 2 blocks west of Carlisle, on the north side of the street in Albuquerque. And I say beautiful, and
It is. It's a lovely place.
we have a beautiful showroom and lots of knowledgeable sales and technical staff to help you.
You can also contact us via email with questions or ideas for podcast topics, and that would be to corner@compcorner.com. That's CORNER at COMPCORNER.com.
So with that out of the way, we can jump to our main topic for today, which is about the top 10 computer rules you should never break, or actually, to put it a different way, the top 10 computer rules you should always keep in place.
Indeed. Let's just start with one of these, okay? I'll always back up your computer to an off-site location. What are we talking about?
Well, there's cloud backup locations that like we offer, but I think it should go beyond that. You should probably back your computer and your data up to not just the cloud, but to a local device of some sort as well.
Right. I do 3 things on some of my files, not all.
Paranoid a little?
No, it's just that, I've been in this business long enough to have seen too many people have too many problems.
Yeah, that's
Just
true.
take, for example, I use a Carbonite backup, which is a cloud backup. I also back up onto an external hard drive, which is not kept in the same place as the computer.
And why is that, Phil?
Well, because if anything should go wrong, such as the house catching fire, if it catches fire in the computer room, well, when the main computer burns up, if the backup's there, guess what happened?
Same if it gets stolen.
Same if it gets stolen. Yeah. And I have my 3rd level of backup is just for my financial files, and there's a copy of them right now in my pocket on a thumb drive.
There you go.
Those are the files I need most urgently if anything does go wrong. So I've got them with me at all times. And I guess if the house burns down while I'm in it and the financial files are in my pocket, I probably don't care at that point. But,
no, you certainly don't.
Right. But for the financial files, I have 3 copies.
So once again, I've mentioned this on other shows, but I have written a blog about backup. If you want to go to our website at www.compcorner.com, it's just like a short blog that will get you started on the different types of hardware devices, especially that you can use for your data backup. And it depends, too, on how much data you have.
Indeed, it does.
What type you choose.
And there are probably a lot of people out there who think, well, I don't have anything I need to back up. I think you're wrong. You probably have, in this day and age, some photographs.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, in the old days, we had negatives, which are always kept somewhere else. But now, if you lose your photographs and they're a beautiful trip you had or a wonderful pet you had that you no longer have, you're going to be sad if you lose them.
Well,
Backing up is pretty simple, pretty easy, and you should be doing it.
Absolutely.
and you need to choose at least one, but you really need to choose more. The difference is you can put all your data and everything on a pen drive, but if you have to reconstruct your whole machine and reload all your programs, that's where something like even Carbonite comes in. And depending on which level of Carbonite you bought, meaning how fast the download speed is going to be for restoration, you're still going to wait a few hours. Versus if you just have the pen drive with your backup and your information, you need to get the new computer, you need to load everything up, you need to do the updates before you even start.
Yeah.
So Carbonite is the cloud backup that Computer Corner sells. And you can choose, as Joe was talking about the different levels, you can choose just to back up your data, but you can also choose to back up the entire contents of your hard drive, which would include your operating system, your program files, and that type of thing. The drawback there is restoring that to a different computer. That would be difficult. It would have to be to the same computer.
If you buy the cheapest thing you can from Carbonite, or any backup source that's cloud-based, you're going to be waiting a half a day, 2 days before everything is restored.
But at least it can be.
But it can be.
So
It's just a point to be made to everybody out there. You're not going to be waiting a day or a couple of days for it to get backed up. You're going to be waiting a week for it to get backed up if it's running there, because the upload speeds on any computer are significantly slower than the download speeds. However, even though if it is going to take a week to do, it is well worth the effort to do that. You will be sorry sooner or later if you don't have a backup.
So another practice that you should always keep in your computer lives is that you should be aware of public Wi-Fi hotspots. Most of the data is exposed in these things. There's not high security level.
And that means if you go to your local Starbucks or your local Jiffy Lube, in those places, you are susceptible to other people being there who have less than your best interests in mind.
Right, and it doesn't matter whether you've got a Mac or a PC.
Nope.
So many people think that, Apple products, Macs, don't have any kind of security issues, but they can. In fact, they specifically were hacked at Wi-Fi locations here a couple years ago.
Not invulnerable, not by any stretch of the imagination.
So what should people do?
Well, they should use sites when they're in a public location that are only HTTPS, meaning the sites are secured. Or they can use a private VPN. And I guess people would probably need a definition of a VPN.
Well, it's a virtual private network. It's a way of tunneling your data to a special encrypted website that people aren't going to get back into it and see your data or anything else.
So that would be protecting you from others in the same location trying to look at the data that you're looking at or transmit. VPNs are available all over the place. In fact, I've heard one advertised on the radio now that is something like $3.33 a month.
Yeah,
it's from a famous manufacturer, from a famous provider too. So you might want to think about that. Keep in mind, though, even with a VPN, your internet provider still knows what you're looking at.
Absolutely. They're tracking everything you do.
Right.
So
okay.
another
thing would be to use unique passwords on every website you use. A site that gets hacked will then use bots to hack other websites with your same password and username. You might want to think about using something called a password manager, which makes that process of having different passwords for every site, much easier. There are many of them out there on the market right now. They're either free or inexpensive. I actually use a free version myself. It keeps all my passwords. It has another advantage, which means also that I can come into Computer Corner here instead of being at home, and I can go on to any of my websites and have my password put in from here. All I have to do is log on to the password manager before I try to go to the website.
So let's talk for just a minute about a good password. What is a secure password? Of course, one thing is it's not going to be short. It's not going to be like 4 digits.
It's not going to be 4 digits. It's not going to be your dog's name, your cat's name. It's not going to be your grandchild's name.
Or your street
or your
name.
In fact, what we tend to recommend to people now is not the use of a password so much as a passphrase. And what's a passphrase? Passphrase is something, it could be a lyric from a song. Not the whole thing, of course. You wouldn't want to do that. It could be a passage from the Bible if that's the way you want to do things. It could be a line from a book. I actually give the example when I teach the class here. I don't use this myself, so don't think you're getting my passphrase. But it was the best of times. The opening line of Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities.
And then a combination of upper and lower
And
case.
then what I do is upper and lower case, and I change the O in of to a 0, and I change the I in times to an exclamation point, just as an example of doing this.
Because you want to have numbers, upper, lower case, symbols. You want to have as much variety in there as possible, so nobody can hack your passwords.
Okay, so that, something like that is a good thought. There might be a favorite song title that's longer than just a single word that you could use. But think of it, the longer it is, the more difference of types of characters it contains, the safer you are. And with a passphrase, if it's something you like very much, for example, that what I just gave, if you're a Dickens aficionado, that's going to be pretty easy for you to remember, but it's going to be a little hard for somebody who, to guess what you were using.
The important thing here is to remember your password. A couple years ago, I remember I was installing a desktop at a company here in Albuquerque. I'm not going to say who it was. And it came to the point on the screen where we had to enter a password, and I turned and I asked the gentleman, what do you want your password to be? And he thought about it, and I typed it in. And then a couple minutes later, I needed to do something. We'd rebooted the machine because of updates. And I said, what was that password again? And he forgot it.
Yeah. One of the
This
things...
was 30 seconds later.
Yeah, that happens. We're human beings.
Yeah.
That happens to us. One of the things that I suggest to people, if they don't want to use a password manager and if they don't have the ability to remember all their passwords, which none of us do, you can actually write them down. You can put them into, let's say, an Excel spreadsheet and then save them on your computer, but don't save it under the title of My Passwords.
Right.
Save it under the title of something else that would be totally unrelated, just in case anybody does get a hold of your machine.
Save them on a pen drive.
That's another good thing.
Okay, so let's move on to another thing that you want to always do. Let me just say, updates are your friend. I know it's not always that way. It doesn't always seem that way.
But they are your friend.
Because we've talked sometimes about how updates happen on Tuesday night, overnight, and then sometimes there's crashes on Wednesday. So they call that Patch Tuesday and Crash Wednesday. But
Microsoft
updates,
is not putting these patches out, these fixes, just for giggles and to annoy you.
They are security against hackers. That's what it boils down to. So you want to keep your updates current, and you want to let them run. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that when they come out with the latest updates, you want to rush right out and download them. You can wait a little while, because then if there are problems, somebody else can find them first.
Yeah, but more and more Microsoft is just forcing those updates to happen, and you don't have much of a choice on there. But you'll be happier in the long run if you put the updates on. And you'll be happier if you put them on more often than not. This is true story. Yesterday was my day to update my laptop computer, which I use only if I have to go out to someone else's site or something like that. And I hadn't updated it in, I shudder to say, 4 weeks. Okay, and so it took quite a while for the updates to go on, but they're all on now as of this morning.
Yeah.
All righty. So another thing you never want to stop doing, or that you always want to do, is use antivirus. And once again, whether it's a Mac or a PC, it doesn't matter. You need antivirus software.
Or if it's your phone.
Oh, yes. We heard that this last week, that there's, what was that one called?
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp. That's right. Hacked into some phones. But anyway, antivirus is your first line of defense to keep your machine safe. And like we've said before, you also might want to install some additional security products called Malwarebytes and Hitman Pro.
And there is an antivirus software built right into Windows, isn't there? Called the Windows Defender.
Windows Defender.
And it's free. And
it's better than nothing.
It's better than nothing, but we always tell people you do get what you pay for. If you don't have the funds to do it, make sure you do have, do not do anything to disable Windows Defender, but you really should get something a little bit more robust if you do want to protect yourself. Okay.
So there's another one, and actually this probably doesn't need to apply to everybody unless you have your computer in your bedroom. Then you want to turn on Nightlight mode at night.
You didn't know that your computer has a night mode, did you?
Nightlight
Most people,
mode. Yeah.
Nightlight mode. It filters out the blue light at night that will allow you to fall asleep better. It doesn't keep your mind active in that way. To get to that, to turn on Nightlight mode, and you don't have to turn it on and off manually each time, it will automatically turn on and off at sundown and sunrise. How does it know? Well, of course, Microsoft knows more or less where you are from your IP address, and it generates the time for sundown and sunrise right in there. But to get to it, if you want to turn it on, you go to the Start button, to Settings, to System, to Display, and to Nightlight. And there's a little slider there about how much it controls the intensity of the light on the computer.
So here's another one. Oh, Joe, you had something?
Now you might think, why are we bringing this up? I don't look at my computer screen at night that much. Mm-hmm. The reasoning is, and I discovered this several years ago with my phone. Before you go to bed, you like to read or something like that on your phone. And in my case, it was a Kindle book that I downloaded. Mm-hmm. You've got a lot of this blue light just blasting your eyeballs. This stimulates an area in your brain that you're going to have trouble getting to sleep. Mm-hmm. That's basically what it comes down to.
And I do a lot of reading on my phone of books before I fall asleep. And much better than it used to be in the old days when I had the book, because I would always get thick books, and I'd fall asleep and the book would fall out of my hand and hit me in the face.
There you go.
So this is much better. The phone still hits me in the face, but it's not quite as big a jarring thing.
Now you're going to notice like a red tinge on the page, but that's because the blue light is gone. But you're going to notice your eyes aren't as sore anymore either. And so it's a nice mode.
It is.
Very nice.
Okay, next.
When you're on the internet, be skeptical about everything.
Absolutely everything.
Verify things. There's lots of scams out there. There's ads that are hacked. There's pop-ups that take you to sites that are malicious. There's all kinds of things going on. So before you click on anything, you might want to do some searches and verify whatever that is that popped up or whatever. You might want to verify it with multiple web reviews and web searches.
And another little trick that I have that I use all the time is before you click on anything, if you hover on the link and then look down in the bottom of your screen, the bottom left corner specifically, in almost every browser you'll see the actual address to which that will direct you. And if you think you're going to Wells Fargo and you hover over it and it tells you instead you're going to something.cr for Czech Republic, you might want to think more than twice about not clicking on that.
Very good.
So I hope everybody knows by now, but we still see a lot of people in the Computer Corner Service Department that have clicked on the wrong thing. They get a pop-up message that says their computer's infected and they need to click this, and
they don't understand why it is.
Right, and it's all malicious. But, you know, there are some legitimate ads and pop-ups
and
things like that, too. But you just have to be careful.
Trust no one.
Yep.
There you go.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. I have one here for you, too. Do not accept that a PC gets slow over time just as a way of life.
No.
If you keep up with disk and program maintenance, keeping an eye on bloatware and the speed up programs, it just won't slow down unless something is going really wrong.
So I hate to keep talking about my blogs, but I did write a blog about computer maintenance tips and another one about how to bring new life back to your old computer. There's some good tips there. The maintenance tips have to do with check disk, seeing how much space is left on your hard drive, because your computer can slow down if you don't have a lot of hard drive space, and then you could actually start getting into trouble. So you need to do check disk and some other
You can get down so far that you can't do anything about it.
Right. So there's that. There's some programs that I talk about in my blog. CCleaner is one of those. So there's a whole bunch of maintenance tips, and you want to make sure you keep up with all those.
Keep up with all of those all the time. And another thing, if you're worried about slowing down, that I don't think we mentioned even on the last one, but I think about it all the time since I converted myself. If you have the opportunity to get a computer with an SSD hard drive, take that opportunity. If for whatever reason you have to replace the hard drive in an existing computer, I don't even think you should think about a mechanical drive anymore.
Not anymore. A brand new computer, get an SSD.
SSD stands for solid state.
Solid state drive, no moving parts. No moving parts means two things. Number one, a dramatic increase in speed. Number two, a dramatic increase in longevity. With no moving parts, there are fewer things that can go wrong.
So especially in a laptop that gets moved around a lot, an SSD is almost like essential these days.
But again, back to not even the laptop, but talking about your desktop computer. If you decide you need a new hard drive on your whatever year old desktop computer it is, When you go in, when you come into us, talk to us about SSDs. The prices on these have fallen dramatically over the past year or so, a couple of years actually, and they are well worth the small additional charge for getting that speed and getting that longevity.
If your computer is approaching 4 years old, you need to get an SSD.
Well, your hard drive
is
going
away. Bring it in. We can copy everything on that drive so that it boots up just like your old one did, but a lot faster.
You will love it. Trust me. Okay. This one we alluded to a little bit on our previous podcast, and this is, if you get an error message, don't just go posting it on Facebook or something like that. Google the error message and try to help yourself. Most of the time when something goes wrong on a computer, it's happened to someone else already, and it is going to be found up there. So if you have a message, a specific message, copy it down, write it down letter by letter, and then put it into the computer in a Google search or in a search in whatever search engine you prefer, of course, and then see what they have to say about it. But again,
caution.
Yeah, thank you, Carol, picking right up on where I was going with that. There are malicious sites out there that will tell you, if you get this message, you need to contact us and we will come onto your computer and fix things. And they may or may not fix things, and they may or may not make things worse.
Right. They could actually hold your computer ransom.
They could do that.
We could talk a whole show about that. That's for sure.
We definitely could.
Just try and Google things more frequently. And this is especially interesting with printers. I think when you get into a problem on a specific printer model and you Google that problem, you'll see, oh, look, that's how to fix it.
Yeah, and you know, if you think about this, you're going to save yourself a lot of time instead of trying to call somebody, call a friend and ask them, hey, have you ever seen this? What is this? Do it yourself. I find sometimes, no matter how long I have been in this business, or Joe has been in this business, or Carol's been in this business, we cannot retain in our gray matter memory all the possible error messages. And if you ask us, one of the first things we're going to do is Google it, to make sure we are, even if we think we know what it is, we're going to go for confirmation that we do remember correctly what that is.
But be careful, like we said.
Okay. Mr. Engineer, how much time have we used up so far in this podcast?
22 minutes.
22?
All righty. I think that's just about right.
We have come to the end of our show, and you can listen to us again in 2 weeks. And if you sign up for our newsletter at www.compcorner.com, Carol will send you a reminder to listen every other Saturday. And you can listen to past shows by either going to our website or searching for us on YouTube. So you don't have to get it live every time. But we hope that the tips and tricks that we give out on these are worthwhile to you to listen to them when you do have a chance.
And, of course, we hope that you'll think of Computer Corner for all your hardware, software, service, and training needs anytime you need any of those things.
And until we meet again, please mind your bits and bytes. This is Phil.
And Carol.
And Joe.
Wishing you carefree computing. The Computer Corner Show is logging off.